Hi, I'm Dana, and in the effort of trying to make the occasional bit of positive content, I wanted to take today to talk about the relationship that a lot of autistic people have with animals. It was one of the things that I saw a lot when I was researching autism as something that's not a trait but is noticed a lot. And obviously there's also a lot of places that are specifically animal-based therapies for people with various different neurotypes and mental illnesses and whatever else they have going on. So it's obviously something that there is some sort of bond and relationship there that benefits people that have stuff going on. And as always, I cannot speak for everyone, but I can speak for my own experiences and the things that I've been through and seen, and that's what I wanted to get into today. I grew up always having pets. We had guinea pigs and rabbits when I was younger, and then I had a dog at one point. I've had a lot of cats, and I've always really enjoyed being around animals. When I lived in Denmark, I used to quite often go to feed the cows and things like that. There was sometimes horses, and then the cows would get taken out of the field, and I'd be like, what happened there? And then I eventually made that connection. But I've always been a big fan of animals. I've always really enjoyed spending time with animals, and the main reason for that is that I feel like I'm able to get what I get out of socializing, but without any of the anxiety or social pressure of it. You know, I can spend time with my cats, I can spend time with horses, I can spend time with cows, dogs, whatever else, guinea pigs. I don't need it to be I feel like a lot of people only see horses and dogs and cats as animals that you can spend time with, but I've also had a snake, I've also spent time around hamsters and rats, we had birds at one point. I feel like I gain the same benefits that I do from socializing with animals as I do with people. However, when it comes to socializing with people, I've got to make conversation, I've got to figure out things to say, I've got to mask, I've got to do the right facial expressions, I've got to try and take in their facial expressions. You know, there's so much to it that makes me really anxious and a little bit overwhelmed, to be honest with you, every conversation ever. So it's much nicer for me to be able to interact with animals and interact with my cats and gain that feeling of being around another living creature. I've socialised with something, I'm not alone, but I haven't got all of the extra pressures that come from socialising with people. And for me personally, I feel like I'm often just quite naturally good with animals. Not all the time, there's definitely I have a friend whose cat does not let me touch her, she is not having me, she does not like me. It's not, I'm not the animal whisperer, you know, but I did get a picture with a squirrel once, and I've hung out with pigeons too. There's just a very I feel like I just sort of get them, you know, and that's not in a I'm special way, it's in a pay a little bit of attention, it's not that hard, you know. You can sort of just pick up on this animal looks a bit scared, so I'm going to make myself smaller and put a hand out so it can sniff me, things like that. Where I've seen people I've had people come into my house and just approach my cat, stood up, clomping along in big shoes, hand out, and they're like, oh my god, why did the cat just run away? And I'm like, do you need me to explain, really? You know, I think a lot of it is just that I have a natural sort of you're an animal, you're gonna do your own thing for the most part, and I'm here now in your space, so I'm gonna introduce myself, but what you do from here is their own choice, you know. I'm not one to try and force animals into a situation or make them like me, and I feel that tends to make them like me, you know. But when that's happening with cats, that people are oh yeah, it's just not a very it's a cool cat, but it's not a very nice cat, it's not gonna sit on you, it won't want to fuss, and then next thing you know it's curled up in my lap purring, and I'm just if you just leave it alone and don't make a big thing, it's probably gonna have a sniff of you and see what's going on, and if you make it comfortable, it's gonna stay, you know. So it feels there's just a sort of natural understanding of you also just want to be left to do your own thing. I get that, same, but people don't let you do it. There's that sort of relatability almost between animals and myself, where I'm yeah, I get you. And the other side of that I think plays in the same sort of way is that, especially when I was younger, there was just a massive lack of fear. I just assumed animals would be nice, you know. A lot of things that you watch as a kid, animals are nice, you know. There's shows about elephants and teddy bears and all sorts of things where it's this animal's a really nice animal. When I did horse riding as a kid, I think that there was a massive difference between me approaching these big horses with just zero fear, zero care in the world, just oh, an animal, it may as well have just been a giant cat, you know. I was just straight in there and hey, how are you doing, I want to stroke you, I want to touch you, what's going on. Whereas other kids maybe had a bit of apprehension, a bit of oh shit, that's a big animal and whatever else, which is also natural and normal. I do think that it was me missing an actual instinct of fear or something. It definitely you know, if I was growing up in Australia or somewhere where they have dangerous animals, that I probably wouldn't be here. You know, like, you've still got to be smart and still got to be sensible, you know, like, I wouldn't, like, walk up to a grizzly bear in the woods and be like, oh, but it knows that I'm chill and I feel like I understand its behaviour. But I do think that there is just, like, a thing of, like, if you respect an animal and show it that you're not trying to, like, be a predator or, like, fuck it up in any way, they are just... Do you mind? I'm trying to film a video out, man. You know, like, I know it sounds a little bit silly and a bit like fucking bear whisper or whatever, but I do think that if you show like, most animals respect, they sort of do the same, you know. Most animals don't want to fuck you up, but also don't get attacked by a wolf and be like, oh well, this girl on YouTube said as long as you respect. Like, it varies, it's nuanced, there's different situations. If an animal looks uncomfortable, like it doesn't want you there, you should leave it alone. But like, especially with animals that can't hurt you, like my aunt had a cat at one point and she'd gotten it from like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing, and it'd been heavily fucking abused. Like, this cat was absolutely fucked up. It was awful, actually. Like, it was nearly missing an eye, like it had like a big fuck off scar, it was missing bits off its ears, it didn't have a tail, its legs were like funny shaped, like this was a fucked up cat. And my whole family was very like, we leave it alone, we don't go near it, it'll attack you, like just don't go near it. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I wasn't planning on fucking chasing the cat down. And what do you know, like 15 minutes later it's rubbing around my legs, and like 5 minutes after that it's sitting on me and I'm having a good fuss and purring and everything, and everyone's like, how have you done that? And it's like, I was nice to it. When it came around my legs, I didn't flinch away and expect it to attack me. I was just like, oh, you're here, you know? Like, I think that like having that lack of fear and that understanding with animals that can't kill you is definitely something that they pick up on, and it like gives a bond and a strengthened sort of like relationship between you and the animal in a way that is like very nice and very unique, and I think a lot of people don't understand in my experience. I also think a good amount of it's like the fact that as an autistic person, I'm the type that experience like very heightened empathy. I feel a lot of empathy for a lot of different things that I don't need to feel empathy about. Like, I was the kid that would make sure all of my teddy bears were on the bed and make sure each of them had a kiss goodnight because no one can feel left out. So I think it's pretty natural that that would then extend to living, breathing, live animals, you know? That it's not what the video is about, but that is also why I'm vegan. And I think that having that type of empathy is something that allows me to sort of just... I think it's having that empathy that's allowed me to like bond with a lot of animals and get good with them and get to a point where it does feel like I'm sort of like just naturally good with them. I did have to learn that. I don't think that I'm naturally that good at anything, honestly. It's all learned stuff, you get me. But it's things like Otis's mum was a stray cat that I took in, and she was all over me. She loved me. She was one of my favourite cats I've ever had, I won't lie. She's with my uncle now, she's not dead, she's completely fine. But you know, like, I had to like, she was a stray, she came into my garden in the rain in the middle of like it was the start of January, and I was like, this poor fucking cat. And my partner at the time was like, it's not our problem. And I was like, no, I know it's not specifically our problem, but it is a cold, wet cat living in our garden. It's been there for days. So it was me that took it in and dried it and cleaned it and gave it food and, you know, sorted her out to be happy. And then my partner at the time was surprised that she liked me the most and she had a really strong bond with me and I adored her. And it's like, the way that you treat animals is stuff that they will remember. Like, I think that way too many people see animals as like, I don't even know what they see them as, because it's not as animals in my opinion, you know? They see them as like these like weird little teddy bears that just aren't going to remember anything, so whatever you do to them, it doesn't matter. And it's like, no, they will remember you. They will remember the way that you behave to them. They know what's going on. And it'll sort of tie back to my first point as well. Alongside them being like the social side of things, I think that the way that I show emotion, or realistically the way that I don't show emotion, is very much caused more so by my trauma growing up than it is by my autism. I think that it's because my parents didn't allow us to show emotion. You know, I was never taught how to comfort myself, how to comfort others. Like, there was never I didn't see that happening in my household growing up. Which meant that from a very, very young age, when I was upset, when I was angry, when I was generally like in need of comfort and soothing, I knew that I wouldn't get it from my parents. They'd be like, go to your room until you've calmed down, why are you coming to me? But I could go out into the back garden and get my guinea piggy baby Bobby and give him a big hug, and he'd sniff and love me and be really cute and sweet, and I'd feel so much better for it, you know. And then getting older, I had my dog Oscar at one point, and I don't talk about him because it was the most fucking heartbreaking thing. It was a very heartbreaking thing I've been through. I won't lie, it wasn't the most heartbreaking, but I had a dog when I was like 12, 13, and he was my baby. Like, he just understood, you know, like, I didn't need to train this dog. He just knew that, like, when we approached the road, I want you to sit down so I can check for cars. I didn't train him. He just knew what I wanted him to do and he did it. He was the perfect dog. And like, to this day with my cats, if I'm upset, if I'm not feeling good, I have gotten better. I have occasionally, recently, phoned friends instead of just going to my cats. I do think that's much healthier and something that people should do. But I also don't always feel able to do that. I get very anxious about it. I don't want to trouble my friends. I don't want to be a burden. You know, there's a bunch of issues there. And being able to receive that like emotional support from my animals, I don't know if I'd still be about without them, honestly. Like, I've had years and years of my life where the only reason I got out of bed was because my cats needed to be fed. Like, having animals around, like, even beyond like just getting to enjoy them like when you see them kind of thing, like having animals around on the day to day is absolutely vital to me. I don't know what I would do without them. I think I would be very lonely. I think I'd be sad a lot more. I think I would generally like have a much lower quality of life, you know? And it's the type of thing that can sound very sort of cliche or melodramatic or just a bit silly, but you know, like, my cats have shown me more loyalty than anybody ever, like any human, you know? Like, they are the only things in the world that I receive socialization from, that I get emotional support and comfort from, that has not at any point disappointed me or fucked me over or left me or like in any way done anything negative. You know, the worst thing they do is sometimes like throw up in a place I don't want them to. Like, I know people always say it, but my cats very much like are my children. Like, these, like, I don't intend to ever have actual human children. I will continue always having cats because they bring me so much more joy and beneficial general like vibes than anything else in my life ever has. You know, like their complete lack of judgment, their consistent loyalty, like I do frankly very little for them, you know? Like, cats are very easy animals to care for. I scoop their litter tray, I feed them, I play with them, I give them some treats, I give them a bit of a fuss. Like, 80% of caring for cats is literally enjoyable, and then they provide me so much in return, and I'm so grateful and thankful to have them in my little life. And as much as I do think that like society on a whole is better about people's pets and stuff now, because like when my pets died when I was younger, people would be very much like, okay, get over it. And I luckily haven't had a pet die for a long time now, but when I've seen other people have pets die, I feel like people actually take it seriously now, and I'm like, that's really shitty, I'm really sorry for you, let me know if you need anything, you know? I just think that animals and pets and the importance that they can play for like honestly probably any neurodivergent person gets overlooked a lot. And especially when it comes to being autistic and animals, I feel like it's often seen as this like trait of like, oh, autistic people are just naturally good with animals. And there's not, from what I've seen, an awful lot of consideration for why or what we gain from that, or, you know, any of that side of things. It's just seen as like another little like autistic superpower when it's not that at all. But yeah, that's the video I wanted to make. That's what I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna end it there. I'd love to hear about any pets that you've had in the past, any animals that you've felt a strong bond to, what your favourite animal is. Like, loads of us have animals of various sorts as a special interest, so I would really love if someone wants to like info dump about their favourite animal. That'd be a fun comment to read. But for now, you can follow me here. I post videos on Thursdays and Sundays, so please do like and subscribe. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram or TikTok. They'll all be linked down below. You can also become a YouTube member or a Patreon member, and you can also donate to me on Ko-fi if you wanted to and if you have the money. I know that lots of people don't have money in a cost of living crisis. I also had someone comment saying that you're having to cancel it, and that's completely fine. Please cancel it. Like, if in any way like sending me money, which I already don't like the idea of it being like paying for my content because it should be free, but I also don't like it being like, you're just giving me money. This bit isn't meant to be about me. If you can't afford it, don't. Like, I'm not going to be mad, I'm not going to be upset, I'm not going to be like, why are people leaving me? Like, it's money. Like, I get it. I get how money works. I get how life is for most of us. Like, I assume everyone who comments is neurodivergent in some way. Most of us ain't got the fucking money. Most of us are struggling with jobs if we've even got one. Please do not ever send me money if you think it might make you struggle in any way. Like, just don't do it. But if you've got it about and you want to, I do always appreciate it, so that's that. I'm going to finally stop speaking now, so whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and here's Otis in a box.